So if you guys by any chance will remember, you guys will probably understand that I'm a Panasonic fanboy and I'm currently owning the Lumix S1. And I feel like a lot of people still want to get their hands on this particular system, despite the fact that there have been several camera systems that has been released which are even way better than, the S1. S5 Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 2X and all that. Today I'm basically not going to talk any good about it. I'm just going to pinpoint the bad side of the Lumix S1. Let's just get straight into it. So I also like to use this opportunity to apologize to whoever is watching this video, because right now I'm outside and as you guys do know, obviously there will be some unwanted noise from whatsoever. So my apologies if that comes into play. So yeah, talking about the S1, you guys do know that this is a camera that's Panasonic really did well. All the cameras from Lumix, they really do not play when it comes to making their cameras. I'm actually enjoying this particular camera, and there are a whole lot of ideas and learning curve that I've developed from using this particular camera. But it's not all about the good side. Yeah, I do know that there's a whole bunch of things that are really wrong with this camera, and I knew it before I even went for this particular camera, but I feel like I could have done better by maybe waiting for the newer model or maybe jump into something else. So the first thing that I'll have to tap on from the Lumix S1 will have to be LCD screen. All right, talking of the LCD screen, you guys do know that cameras do have external monitors that allows you to view your footages whenever you are filming something like this. It's not all the time that we do have the time to be behind the camera to assess the type of footage that we are seeing. So sometimes it is always best that cameras do give us flip up monitor or whichever style of monitor, and that is where this camera actually disappoints me big time, because right now I'm gonna try and show you the setup that I'm currently using right now, and it's crazy, which involves additional money, extra cash, extra effort and all that, because this particular camera, the Lumix S1, does not have a flip up screen. So if you're someone that is really into this type of YouTube type of videos, anything that's allows you to be in front of the camera without having you to see the monitor, it's really going to be a problem, because right now I'm pairing a camera with an external monitor, cables all over it, and I need to make sure the focus peaking is actually on my body to ensure that I'm actually in focus, and that is something that I really dislike. Assuming if there was a monitor, I wasn't gonna buy this additional monitors and all these cables and all that. It's a problem. That is one of the major downside of this camera, and I can't actually think of I don't even know why I pulled the trigger to buying this particular camera. But overall, I think there are some things that you can actually trade in an exchange for this particular screen issue, and that bothers me a lot. But another thing is, this particular camera does not have our standard SD cards, okay? So it uses a dual SD card. It's quite obvious. This type of cinema cameras or this type of heavy duty cameras, they're obviously going to give us a dual SD card. It's not Canon, sorry about that, but there is a dual SD card. So it uses a dual SD card, but the problem of this particular system is it gave us one which is SD card, which is the standard SD card. Let me actually show you guys. So they give us one slot, which is this particular one, and then the second one is a CF Express card type B or so. I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but it's a CF Express card, and that particular card, guys, trust me, you don't even want to bother and ask for the prices of that particular card. Like, it's too expensive to the extent that I tried buying it and then I later on spend the money on something else. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, trust me. So the second slot that they gave us is very much expensive, and a lot of people are actually using. Wait, the thing is, the first one is actually the CF Express card, and then the slots 2 is actually the standard one. So a lot of people who are actually owning this camera are using the slot 2 because that is the one that is common, and that is what a lot of people can get their hands on. And that happens to be a problem, because if you guys are giving us 2 slots, it should be the same or something that is even way easier to get, like the type A. I believe that is very common and it's everywhere. Or maybe, I don't know, something else, but SD card and then a rare SD slot which we cannot even afford to buy. But maybe I might be also wrong, because people who might actually get their hands on this particular camera, they should be able to buy this slot. Another thing that I find it to be a bit frustrating, even though when I was buying it, I didn't really feel the need of it, and I felt like, no, this is something minor, I will get used to it over time. But unfortunately, I'm really not getting used to it. And that has to be with the weight of this particular camera. I've owned cameras, but this particular S1, I think it's a gymming equipment that you probably not get used to it. And it's not gonna build your muscle, trust me, it's gonna piss you off. So this particular camera is so heavy. I mean, we're talking of the body alone without any additional accessories attached to it. And this is not a camera that you can just take it on the go and start using. Obviously, you need an additional accessories like the monitor, which I spoke about, the lens, which obviously it's a full frame camera, so the lens is going to be very much heavier, and the battery that this camera uses is no joke, it's a huge one. This particular problem is actually the elephant in the room, and this problem is very huge. This is actually what turns a lot of people out, and this is what I think might actually pull you away from not getting this particular camera. I do YouTube a lot, and I'm also a photographer. I'm also a videographer. I shoot personal content, weddings, cars, and a whole bunch of other videos that I feel the need to do that. And it is a problem, because I had this particular camera has an autofocus problem even before I got my hands on it. But I actually did not pay much attention to it, because I felt like, no, maybe it's not as bad as people say, so maybe I should just give it a try and see how it goes. But guys, trust me, it is very bad. It is very, very bad. Like, I might be wrong, because I'm not using the native lenses on this camera. I'm actually using an adapter on the camera with Canon glass, which is 17 to 40. And I've tried autofocus in different settings, and hey, you don't even want to bother with that, because it's not gonna do any good to you. It's not gonna improve anything. So I don't even bother. If ever you are thinking of getting this camera, I don't think your main focus should be on the autofocus system. I mean, if you are really thinking of buying this camera for an autofocus beast or something, I would really suggest you look elsewhere, because you'll be very much disappointed. Well, there are other options. We do have the S5 Mark II, S5X. We do have a whole bunch. I mean, I think those are the two cameras right now. And even the GH5, the original one, does have a better autofocus, and also the G9 does have a better autofocus system than this. But one more time, like I said, I might be wrong, because I'm actually not using the native glass of this camera. So maybe if I get my hands on the actual Panasonic lenses, I might get a bit of improvement from the autofocus system. But right now, as it stands, the autofocus is very, 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 like, extremely bad. Trust me, guys, you don't even wanna, I mean, dare to turn on the autofocus. And I'm not just speaking because I mean it is, I mean, it's obvious. This thing is very bad. I'm just going to switch the autofocus on. I'll put the lens on AF for you guys to see how it actually performs. I mean, if you put it on with the MC21 adapter using the Canon glass or any other EF lenses, what actually happens is the continuous autofocus does not work. So instead of the lens to hand, where if I move, I change, or I do all those sort of things, the lens does not do that. It actually stays at a particular place. So if you want it to focus, you need to tap, and then it's a bit slow, and if you don't tap, it stays where it is, and it does its own funny things. Sometimes when it feels like it will focus a little bit, and it does its own crazy stuff, and I wouldn't actually recommend. But let me just put it on so you guys can see what I'm saying. Okay, so we do have our AF. Okay, so now I'm on autofocus. The lens is actually placed on AF right now. So I'm going to try and move a little bit for you guys to see if I'm in focus. I'm not sure if it's moving. So if I'm doing this, it's supposed to like change, yeah? So I'm not sure if I'm in focus. It should focus on me. And if this camera is very much reasonable once I do this, it's supposed to focus on this particular knife here. So I'm not sure what is actually happening. I don't think it's focusing. I really don't think it is. I don't know what is happening, but so yeah. So on a normal camera, on a normal proper camera, so on a normal proper camera, if you do this, or if you by any chance come close to the camera, it's supposed to like drag the box to my face, but here it doesn't have time for you. So yeah, another problem which happens to be very major right after the autofocus problems, and to be frank, even whilst I'm shooting this video, I'm very scared because it just put some funny tricks on me, and I think I need to fast things before it actually get worse. So another problem, and the major one, which happens to be the battery of this. Oh man, I'm sorry once again. So another problem happens to be the battery of this particular camera. I'm not sure if it is only my unit, but trust me, the Lumix S1's battery really sucks, and I think that is due to all the implementations and all the stuff in the camera. This camera is very rugged, it is very huge, and there are a whole lot of things inside this particular camera. We're talking of the IBIS, we're talking of the autofocus, which is very bad, useless autofocus. We're talking of a top LCD, a whole bunch of things. So the battery that it uses is quite thick, but that doesn't mean it's being thick, it is also strong. It is, the particular battery in this camera is quite useless. You cannot even do anything serious with this particular camera. I think you can't even go a duration of 35 to 40 minutes straight on a single battery, and that happens to be a problem because initially I was thinking the problem is the battery that I have, but there is a second battery that I have for this camera, and it still does the same thing. So I feel like the S1's battery really sucks. It's not a battery that you can trust for a longer shoot. So if as someone that you are planning to get this particular camera, that's something that you also need to take into consideration. Try to at least get some extra batteries, maybe 3, 4, 5 or more. That will probably help you. But if you are someone that is using a single battery, you're really not going to enjoy this camera. Additionally, you can also get a battery grip if you really have the muscle for it, because this camera here is a brick on its own, and then having an additional battery grip, you should really have the muscle of the rock to probably handle that. So that happens to be some of the issues about this camera. I do know that there are quite a lot of it, but right now I think those are the major ones, and these are the ones that really frustrates me a lot. If you're someone that is willing to get your hands on this unit, the S1, I think my final thoughts or my conclusion will be maybe you should jump onto the original S5, which is very much cheaper than the S1, and you might have some extra bucks remaining simply because it is very much lighter than this one, and the autofocus actually performs a bit better than this one. And overall, I think the flippy screen and all the additional, I think if I still have the chance right now, I'll probably get that one over this one. Or if you have more budgets, maybe you can jump onto the latest one, which is the S5 Mark II or the X, which will do amazing job. Just bear in mind that one does not have a full-size HDMI except for the newer model. So there is a trade-off here and there, but overall I think with all the disadvantages of the S1, you still get the ability to shoot 6K, and that is very massive, especially for serious commercial works. You're really going to enjoy it. But overall, man, I thought this only happens in South Africa. So guys, thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate your I truly believe you guys enjoy Lumix content anytime I put it out here. So let me know what you also want to see next about this particular camera, or the next camera, or whichever Lumix camera. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section. I'm more than willing to answer everything. With that much said, do not forget, like, subscribe. It really helps me a lot, and I guess I'll see you guys in another video. Stay safe. Peace.